Good morning, YouTube. Today we're doing a quick review of my Mitsubishi 3000 GT VR4. Here she is. This is a 1993, now very old car, almost an antique at this age. But this car had more advanced technology in it than most cars I've ever had. Well, even to this day, we're still, you know, just about on par with the technology this car had. She needs paint, but mechanically I've done a lot of work to her. She runs very well. Everything, even down from the active spoilers to the power antenna, everything works on this car. Let's start back here. This centerpiece is actually from a 99. Even though this is a 93, the 99s are a little bit more desirable because they're a little bit different. It kind of matched this a little bit better, so most people like the way that looks a little bit better. See my license plate. Anyway, starting back here, the way to tell a VR4 from a base model or an SL model is from looks is obviously the rear spoiler. This rear spoiler is active. Speeds over 50 miles an hour, it actually tilts forward like this to create more downforce. I'll show you that in a minute. Anyway, the exhaust. You obviously got, you know, two little pipes on each side. Now, there's actually the exhaust system actually is an active exhaust. It's got a little flapper in it. So right now both mufflers are being utilized because it's in touring mode. But you turn off the touring mode, it goes into a sport mode, which only uses that far muffler right there. So it increasingly gets loud. Power antenna, rear wiper. This car has four-wheel disc brakes. It has all-wheel drive, twin turbo, and the rear actually has steering. Speeds over 50 miles an hour. There's actually a power steering rack in the rear, and the rear tires actually steer a little bit like the other supercars of the day. I know the GTR had it. The 300ZX, I don't think the RX-7 did, or they didn't have an active type, but what else? This model, this VR4 model had all the options on it from the factory. This glass roof was optional. This roof actually it's got a crank wheel on it, and it cranks up to vent, or it completely comes off and stores in the trunk. There's a little slot for it, like say you're storing T-tops or something. How cool would it be if they actually had T-tops for this car? I don't know. This is still kind of cool. Now these headlight assemblies are aftermarket. They are LED projector type. I couldn't see crap out of the factory glass ones. Let's get a better picture here. Again, I'm gonna get her painted. She'll look a lot nicer. It's got fog lights. Now, as you can see, you got an intake right here, and same on the other side. These intakes, it's got dual intercoolers. It has an intercooler for one turbo right here and an intercooler for the other turbo right there. So when you're driving, they're actually functional, cooling your incoming hot air fresh out of the turbo. Let's pop the hood. Find it. So real quick, These little snake eyes is what they're called, but these are like this. So if you're driving and you need to flash your high beams, you know, to pass someone or something, you can actually flash your high beams. These stay closed and it just pulses right there. So this is the motor, twin turbo. You have a turbo right here and a turbo right on the back firewall. Typical timing belt. This is a 3.0 liter dual overhead cam V6. The factory, I believe they're right at 305 horsepower for the first gen, and right up there at 296 torque. This one does have a boost controller. So we're right at 15 pounds of boost, so probably around 320 horsepower, give or take. And this one has a 3SX Y pipe splitter. The plastic ones that came on this car, they would pop off easily. So I have that. Right down here is a HKS blow-off valve, the super sequential blow-off valve. HKS dual intake, Optima battery. I love that battery, by the way. I left my headlights on for almost 4 hours and started it up like nothing. I have solid poly mounts all the way around. Everything other than that, everything else is on here functioning as it should. Still have the factory EGR. I replaced all the vacuum lines with the silicone lines. And as far as the exhaust goes, I have all three converters are eliminated. It's got downpipes from the turbos all the way to the factory catback. I wanted to retain the factory exhaust. Alright, let's move around to the inside of the car. Pardon the lighting, it's a crappy day today. Power door locks, power windows, you know, as standard on any higher end car. These seats are freshly reacquired for me. The seats I had in here were crap, but they have the VR4 stitching on them. These are aftermarket covers, but nicely done. Alright, in here, a little bit smaller, tighter in here. So in here, this cover could come off of the roof. This cover could come off and store away, so you just see the glass. You can manually cranks all the way up. And you push in those two tabs and actually take the roof off and store it in the back. Don't have a power motor right there. That's always kind of cool, right? Let's do the center console here. Center console storage. I had that made. You got your driver's seat, has power lumbar and side bolsterings that you could inflate, snug it up around your back. I have USB for my phone. I have a short shifter, the 3SX short shifter. Same with the emergency brake handle. Right here for the cruise control, turn the cruise on and off. Eject, just kidding. That's for the active front mirror spoiler. I'll show you that, guys, that in a minute here. We'll go over that. This stereo was an option with the digital equalizer. It has an auxiliary in which you could hook to your phone. That, you know, that is cool. So you have equalizer, and this was a rare option, an expensive option, that I just, you know, it came with this car, and that's cool to have. Now, digital climate control, these are notorious for going out. I had this one rebuilt. Pretty cool stuff, huh? It displays what direction the air is coming in, and then what direction it's blowing. So right now it's going to blow heat, and hotter rises, so it blows it down here. You change the fan speed. Not going to turn it up because you won't hear me talk. Change the mode. Have hot air coming out the top vents, just the top vents, both vents. Let's see, defrost. Air is going to come in right here and come out the top. And so I normally keep it on auto. Let's turn the AC off. Oh, it's going to function that way then. There we go. The temperature has to change. But anyway, we're going to keep this right about 70, 68 went in there. Pretty cool, huh? What else we got? Factory boost gauge. Very inaccurate. That's why I have an aftermarket one. Oil pressure. It does move. Temperature gauge. And over here, I should say down here, your rear wiper and spray. And this right here turns your exhaust out of touring mode into sport mode, which makes it louder. So let's do a short clip of that. I'm gonna rev it a little bit, but this is the touring mode. Now we're going to turn it to sport mode. If you gut your cats, and there's 3 of them, but you gut them, and you'll have that little back popping effect in the exhaust. Anyway, ECS, that's your suspension. Come over here, you see the touring. Press this button once, goes into sport. Each strut, all 4 struts on this car are electric, and they got little motors on top of them. So switching between touring and sport, they tighten up the dampening, and it gets really the suspension gets really hard when you turn to sport, which, you know, a little bit more cornering performance. So touring, sport. Tachometer, speedometer, 68,000 miles on it. Sat outside for a while, that's why the paint's all crap on this car. Down over here we have your mirror adjustment, your dimmer, hood prop, steering wheel controls. You turn the volume up and down, switching between your auto channels, mute, that's a nice feature. Up here we have our aftermarket boost gauge and boost controller. I have it set for 15 pounds. This shows how much. Right now we're, you know, negative 19 vacuum. Down here we have our air fuel ratio gauge, which shows right now when it's on this side it's running lean, and when it runs over here it's pig rich. So you want to be right here in the middle at 14, but you know how it is. Let's show you how the spoilers work real quick. I don't know how well you can see that in the rear view mirror. You see the rear spoiler. I'm gonna manually turn on the rear wing. See how it goes up, goes down, goes up, goes down. Let's show you that back here. So obviously when you go over 55, 50, I think it's right at like 53, it automatically turns up, create more downforce. There's one in the front of the car too. Let me show you that one.